Hey friends, good evening. I'm sitting here with my cup of tea and I'm really grateful that you're here tonight. This is a season called Healing Forward, and we've been talking about wounds. We've been talking about patterns. We've been talking about how healing actually takes time to heal. But tonight, I want to talk about something that many people feel unsure about. And sometimes people even avoid the subject altogether. We're going to talk about deliverance. Not the loud, dramatic deliverance, not in that type of way, but in a simple, grounded, everyday way. For many people, the word deliverance actually brings fear. It can feel intense, they can feel intimidated, it can even feel confusing. And sometimes it's been presented in ways that maybe even feel overwhelming. So people tend to avoid the subject altogether. But what if deliverance was never meant to feel complicated? What if it was meant to be a part of everyday life with Jesus? Scripture gives us a beautiful picture in Matthew 15 where Jesus refers to deliverance as the children's bread. Bread is not something that you eat once, correct? Bread is sometimes even received on a regular basis with some meals, correct? It is for nourishment, it is for provision, which means deliverance was never meant to be rare, just to be on rare occasion. It was meant to be part of your daily walk with God. So, what is deliverance? Deliverance is simply this: being set free from something that is holding you in bondage. Sometimes that's spiritual, sometimes it's a pattern, sometimes it it's even in lies that we've believed over time. Deliverance is not about fear, it's about freedom, it's about liberty, it's about being removed from the chains that keep you in bondage. So let's talk about this in a more simple way. Not everything is a demon. Not everything there is spiritual. Sometimes we're experiencing trauma. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. The differences in trauma, the difference between generational sin and the difference between generational trauma. Sometimes it's learned behavior, and sometimes it's just emotional wounds. But sometimes there are things that we need to be released from. And wisdom is learning to recognize the difference. Let me give you a simple picture. Imagine someone who feels a constant weight of fear. They've done the work to understand their past. Where did this come from? How did it start? Where did it even begin? But there's still moments where the fear feels heavier than it should. In those moments, something deeper may be at play. And this is where the truth begins to change things. Scripture gives us this powerful picture in Isaiah 14 and 16. It says, those who see you will gaze at you and say, is this the one who made the earth tremble? In other words, there comes a moment when what once felt overwhelming and once felt so powerful is seen clearly, and the response becomes, Is that what had me bound all of these years? Is that what had me in bondage? Sometimes when truth comes in, what once felt so big starts to lose its power, and that is Scripture. I want to share something personal with you for just a moment, if you don't mind. There was a time in my life when I had walked away from what I knew life was supposed to be, the way that I was supposed to be living. And when I came back to Christ, I did not come back with everything all together. A big bow. I quit doing this. I quit doing that. All the things that are superficial on the top. I came back honest, and I remember praying something very, very simple. I kept saying, Lord, change my want to. What does that mean? Change my desires. Change my taste. Change my want to go here, want to go there, want to do this. Change my want to. Everything that I wanted to do, change it to where it was pleasing in His sight. Simple prayer. I knew what was right, but my desires didn't always match up to what was right. So I didn't pretend. I asked Him to change me from the inside out. And I also remember saying this over and over again. Heal me, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved. That wasn't a fancy prayer. It wasn't one that I shouted from the rooftop. It wasn't one that would send you dancing and running around the church. It was simply surrender. It was me saying, I can't fix this on my own, but you can. And over time, yes, over time, not overnight, but over time, things began to shift. My thoughts changed. My desires changed. My responses changed. Not because I forced it to change, but because God met me in that place of honesty. In Jeremiah 17 and 14, that's the scripture that says, Heal me, Lord, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved. That prayer is still powerful today. That's what I want you to simply understand tonight. Deliverance, it doesn't always look like one big giant moment. Sometimes it looks like a prayer you keep saying over and over again. Sometimes it looks like God slowly changing your want to. Sometimes it looks like surrender again and again. You don't have to be afraid of what Jesus already has authority over. Scripture tells us in Luke 4 and 18 that He came to set the oppressed free. And in John 8:36, if the Son is set free, if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Freedom is something you receive. When something rises up, fear, heaviness, old patterns, you can pause and say, God, I give this to you. I release what is not from you, and I receive your peace right now. Simple, not complicated, just daily freedom. As I close tonight, I want you to remember this. Deliverance is not something to fear. It's something to receive. It's a part of your inheritance as a child of God. It is the children's bread. And sometimes when truth comes in, what once felt powerful becomes something you can finally see clearly. So take it slow. Take a deep breath tonight. You are not meant to carry everything you've been carrying. We are healing forward, gently, steadily, and in freedom. And we'll talk again soon. Good night, my friends.